You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, it takes a very special fighter to take off 18 months, hop back in the ring, and have a flawless performance. Have one of your best performances. Because that's what type of performance Andre Ward put on against Paul Smith. Knocking him out in the 9th round TKO. He played with him the whole night. And then he got him out of there. You know, it's interesting because when Gennady Golovkin fought against Willie Monroe, he was criticized by some of his biggest supporters, which is HBO. Jim Lampley, Max Kellerman, and Roy Jones Jr. They all criticized Golovkin's performance. He got hit too much. You know, was this a type of performance that's going to make a lot of other opponents come out and go after Golovkin because he showed flaws in this fight? This is what HBO was saying throughout the broadcast. I remember when Gennady Golovkin was getting hit a lot, Max Kellerman, he tried to defend him by basically saying, well, you know, when you're trying to knock someone out, obviously you're going to put yourself in harm's way and you're going to get hit more by basically going for the knockout. That's why he's getting touched more. This is what Max Kellerman is saying about Golovkin. But if you watch Andre Ward's performance over Paul Smith, Andre Ward was on the verge of knocking out Paul Smith. And he still didn't get touched, Andre Ward. Okay? Once again, Andre Ward was going in for the kill. And he still wasn't getting touched. Mike Tyson, the most feared man on the planet when he was in his prime. Do you guys know that Mike Tyson seldomly ever got hit with the same punch over and over? Do you know that Mike Tyson had a better defense than Muhammad Ali and had a way better defense than Gennady Golovkin? The point that I'm making is getting hit in the sport of boxing is equivalent to a football player fumbling the ball, a quarterback getting sacked, a running back getting tackled, right? It is an error. It's something that is not supposed to happen. An interception, a turnover in basketball. It is not supposed to happen. Now, it's going to happen eventually, but your goal is to make sure that it doesn't happen that often, right? I mean, it's okay for your quarterback to get sacked once, but if your quarterback is getting sacked every other play, then guess what? You're most likely going to lose that game. And if you don't lose that game, then you're probably going to lose to a team that has a better defense in the future. So there is no such thing as people get hit because they're tougher. People get hit more because they're tougher. Oh, they only get hit because they're trying to get the knockout. I just proved that to be false. People get hit because they lack great defense. If Golovkin really wanted to be hit just to show you guys he was tough, he would never even put his hands up. He would keep his hands down the entire night because he doesn't want to block punches. He wants to show you how tough he is, right? Another thing is, why would Golovkin wait all the way to the Willie Monroe fight to get hit that much? You know, he could have put on a show a long time ago. He could have put his hands down when he was fighting against Curtis Stevens and kept him down. He could have kept his hands down when he was fighting against Rosado and everybody else. Why does he do it against Willie Monroe? This is not a coincidence that Willie Monroe is one of the slickest opponents that Golovkin has faced to date. Right? Like I just said in my previous video, do you guys really believe that it is just a coincidence? The only fighter that has about an 85% chance of beating Gennady Golovkin is the fighter that Team Golovkin has the least interest in fighting. Do you guys really think this is a coincidence, guys? Do you think if Andre Ward was still considered pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, but at the same time, Andre Ward had a whole bunch of holes in his game? He had a Amir Khan type of chin, right? He had a Artur Gatti type of defense. Now, of course, if he had all of that, he wouldn't be considered pound for pound one of the best. But let's just say, hypothetically, if he had all of these flaws, do you honestly think Golovkin would be saying, "Oh, nobody wants to watch, me against Andre Ward. Oh, nobody wants to watch that fight"? Do you guys really think he would be saying that right now? Of course he wouldn't. You think he'd be saying, "Oh, he doesn't have a name and he just wants to make money, by fighting me," and so on and so forth? He wouldn't be saying these things, right? Because think about it one more time. Willie Monroe didn't have a name. Nobody knew who Willie Monroe was, right? And when I say no one, I'm talking about the mainstream boxing fans. Think about this for a second. Willie Monroe is relatively unknown before he fights Golovkin. Willie Monroe is going to make his biggest payday fighting against Golovkin, right? Willie Monroe, he needs Golovkin. Golovkin doesn't need Willie Monroe. So once again, why is Golovkin fighting Willie Monroe? Now, guys, understand something. I have no problem with Golovkin fighting Willie Monroe. But the problem I have is when you say, "I'm not going to fight Andre Ward for the same reasons he is going to fight Willie Monroe," it doesn't make any sense. Does that make sense, guys? Listen, all I'm doing is speaking from a boxing fan's perspective and a boxing reporter's perspective. Because when Adonis Stevens was about to fight Sakio Bika, I was on a conference call with Adonis Stevens and all the other media outlets. Me and everyone else, we were all asking Adonis the same question. When are you going to fight Sergey Kovalev, Adonis? This is the question that I was asking him. This is the question that everyone else was asking him, right? So I want you guys to understand something. The pressure I'm putting on Golovkin is the same pressure I put on Adonis. But see, when I said this about Adonis, everyone agreed with me. And when I say everyone, I'm talking about these Golovkin fans. The Golovkin fans that call you names when you ask Golovkin to fight the best fighter. I never understood that. Why would you as a Golovkin fan be upset that boxing fans want to see Golovkin fight the best opponent available? Why would that upset you? Once again, I wanted to see Adonis Stevens fight Sergey Kovalev. It didn't matter who I thought was going to win. It didn't matter if I thought Sergey Kovalev was going to win, which I did give the edge to Sergey. It didn't really matter, though. I wanted to see the best fight the best. Now, what's so sad is all of the people that was on the phone with me putting pressure on Adonis to fight Kovalev, none of those media outlets have put the same pressure on Golovkin when it comes to him fighting against Andre Ward. What a coinky dink, huh? Unbelievable. And it's unfortunate when it comes to the Adonis situation because once Adonis was ready to negotiate and make the fight with Kovalev, all of a sudden, Team Kovalev pulled an audible and basically signed a contract that would suppress negotiations. So now we'll probably never get to see that fight. But once again, the only point that I'm making to you guys is the way I'm talking about Golovkin right now is the same way I was talking about Adonis. I want to see the best fight the best. You guys have to understand something. Right now, Gennady Golovkin is the best middleweight in the world. And another thing I want you guys to understand, the way I'm talking about Golovkin right now, pressuring him to fight the best, there was a time when I was in Golovkin's corner and I was pressuring Sergio Martinez when he was on top to fight Gennady Golovkin, right? I was saying all of the same things about Sergio Martinez that I'm saying about Golovkin right now. Listen, guys, Andre Ward, and I'm not sure if I got the age correct, but I believe Andre Ward hasn't lost a fight since he was around 11 years old. He is the last man in the United States to win a gold medal in the boxing games. He won the Super 6 tournament where he wasn't even favored to win the tournament. He was a heavy underdog in the tournament. Before that tournament, Andre Ward had never stepped up in competition. Went into the competition and beat Carl Froch, Arthur Abraham, Mikhail Kessler, right? These were guys that were all favored to beat him. He won that tournament. He knocked out Chad Dawson when Chad Dawson was considered pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. Then he beats Edwin Rodriguez. Then he comes off of an 18-month layoff and knocks out Paul Smith. Something else you need to pay attention to. When you look at the respect that your opponent is giving you, that tells you a lot about that fighter Andre Ward, or that fighter Gennady Golovkin. Do you guys notice Paul Smith was giving Andre Ward more respect than Willie Monroe was giving Golovkin? Did you guys notice that? Willie Monroe was letting his hands go. He was fighting Golovkin like he was fighting any other opponent. Paul Smith, on the other hand, he was afraid to even throw a punch. Like he was in the ring with Mike Tyson, right? Like it was Spinks versus Tyson. So does it surprise you that Golovkin doesn't want to fight Andre Ward and Golovkin fans don't want Golovkin to fight Andre Ward? So they try to create a diversion by saying, Andre Ward, you should leave Golovkin alone and go fight someone else. Why don't you fight Kovalev? Now, you know the funny thing about talking about fighting Sergey Kovalev is Golovkin was here first. Who is the biggest attraction right now? Who is the most loved and the most popular right now? It's Gennady Golovkin, right? And even Golovkin fans, you will agree with me on that, right? So let's look at it this way. If I'm sitting at the bus stop waiting for the bus to come, right? Now these buses, they come once an hour. My bus shows up. But for whatever reason, I say, you know what, that's okay. I'm just going to wait for the next bus to come. I tell the bus driver that, right? He said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. He said, all right. He pulls off, he leaves. Why would I sit around and wait a whole nother hour for the next bus to come when I could have took that first bus? This is exactly what fans are asking Andre Ward to do. Golovkin was here first. Golovkin, he became a star before Kovalev did. Kovalev came after Golovkin. It's Golovkin that is getting the big buzz right now. So why should Andre Ward not get on that bus? Doesn't make any sense. It's because you guys are nothing but cheerleaders. You don't want to see Golovkin lose, and you know he will most likely lose against Andre Ward. You say he should fight Kovalev. I got an idea. Since Golovkin already said he'll move up to 168 and fight Froch, How about Ward fights them both? How about Ward fights Golovkin and Kovalev? But see, you guys don't want that because you don't want Golovkin to lose. I'm on to the next one.